Cantors, and I have some of the most wonderful rabbis and cantors behind me now to help make this program beautiful for you. We're also joined by leadership of the Jewish Federation of Delaware. We want to start not with the formal program yet. We want to start with candle lighting, which doesn't involve anything but bringing light into dark places. So I'm going to ask Representative Deb Hefferman, who is not only a child of a survivor herself, but I'm going to ask her to usher in all the other survivors and children of survivors behind me now. And as they come forward, I'd like to ask the following people to light candles for us. First, Russ Silbergley, the president of the Jewish Federation of Delaware. Now, you light the candle. I can't guarantee it will stay lit.
No.
But the effort is worth it.
And both my parents
So you
are Holocaust
feel
survivors.
free to light.
Both my parents.
So you can light. Okay. And then if you could take a light and you can light as well. Yes. This is to you. We're also going to welcome forward, and then I want to get out of the way so they can have a moment, Robin Carol Eng, who's the Holocaust Education Chair for our community. And I'd like to invite Joshua Schoenberg to come forward. He's the JCRC Chair. Sylvia Wagman and Linda Saraduke, who are children of survivors. Regina Alonso, representing survivors. And again, any other children of survivors, and let's give them some space.
Maybe light for a That's good. That's important.
I think we can just.
The effort is in the lighting, not the sustaining of the lighting. We all have to make an effort.
Everybody just imagine the light.
You are the light.
We are the light of the home. I think that we can.
I know.
It's not gonna work.
We don't control the weather. I just
No connection?
there are matches and there's a light. There's everything in the light.
Yeah, so what is it going to blow out? Yeah. That one? Yes.
There may not be enough room, though. Maybe I should do down and over.
Thank you so much. I figured that out. I have great teachers. I have two of my teachers in Delaware, and then my daughter is in near DC. All the grades went to
And I have, yeah,
No, so great.
it's the best. No grandchildren yet, but nobody's married yet. Of course, I know that is not.
All mine did have the children.
Yes,
because they were
thank you.
young, so
I
that's good, yeah.
would hope that would
It's
happen.
better.
I would hope that, but I know that that's not.
Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer le'olam, hachol ve'hayam, rishru shel hamayim, birak hashem shel hamayim berak hashamayim tvilat ha'adam. Oh God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, Achol ve'hayam rishu shel hamayim berak hashamayim tfilat ha'adam.
We thank Cantor Elizabeth Flynn from Congregation Beth Emeth for starting us out in such a beautiful way. This is the first time we've gathered in 3 years to mark this event in person. We originally thought we'd go back to doing it virtual, and there's certain benefits because we could be inclusive from all parts of our state. But there was such an uproar saying, for goodness sakes, we need to be together soul to soul, face to face, as we put light to light. And so here we are, not on the best weather day, but any day that we are together is a good day. Yes, yes, it could be raining. That's a good Jewish attitude. It could be worse. Yes. Spoken as a good Jew. We mourn the death of 6 million Jews, and not just here in our little corner of Wilmington, but we're joining with Jewish people and people of faith all around the world at this very moment. Already in the state of Israel at 11 o'clock in the morning, which already passed, for 2 minutes a siren blasted and everyone stopped where they were. The buses stopped, the cars stopped, people walking in parking lots alone with no one to witness them stopped for 2 minutes and remembered. We're in concert with people like that today. We mark and remember courage. And we think about the courage of people, including current President Volodymyr Zelensky, who himself lost 3 great uncles in the Holocaust. We think of the people of Ukraine today, and we realize that we're not alone. We're in brotherhood and sisterhood with so many. We also are so grateful, particularly for the righteous Gentiles who stepped up and put their own families at risk. And the fact that we're joining today, Jews and Gentiles together, is very powerful. That's what saved lives so many years ago. And we appreciate all the government officials, some of them who really broke speed limits. Sorry, they did not break speed limits. They were right at the edge to make sure that they could join us. It's such a powerful statement. We are so grateful. And for the government officials who are not here, the only reason why they're not here is because they're doing the government's business in Washington, D.C., in the House and in the Senate, and they're doing God's work, and we're grateful to them. Why in this place? Why in this place between the Carlisle State Building and the Wilmington Municipal Building? This monument could have been anywhere. And in fact, a strong argument to put it in the heart of the Jewish community in the Siegel Jewish Community Center. Ruth Siegel, whose memory we're preserving and remembering this day at 101 years of age, may her memory be for a blessing. And the leadership decided we don't need to put this monument in the heart of the Jewish community. It needs to be right here, where government officials have to decide what are the best policies for our citizens on a day-to-day basis. And this serves as a reminder, a touchstone to get it right all the time. Not only from the people you can hear, but the people who you can't hear and see as well. The marginalized of that community are the marginalized today. They might look different, but the responsibility is the same. The widow, the orphan, and the stranger in our midst, God will hold us accountable. And that's why our leadership, both municipal and Jewish, decided this is the right place. I'd like to turn over the rostrum to a leader in our Jewish community, Russ Silberglied, Executive President of the Jewish Federation of Delaware, for comments.
Thank you everybody for being here. Rabbi Michael, those were particularly touching words, so I really appreciate that. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Actually, a couple of things I was going to say Rabbi Michael stole, so I'm not going to bother doing that. Borrowed. He didn't, right. Just like nobody was speeding getting here, nobody stole anything, we just borrowed. I want to, though, say a particular thanks to Derek and for all of our rabbis and cantors for changing this, which was originally supposed to be a virtual event, to doing it live. On behalf of Jewish Federation of Delaware, we thought it was very important to get back together live. There are certain things that you can do on Zoom that are terrific. You know, hearing speakers can be good. Gathering a sense of community is not particularly one of them. And I'm very grateful that we're gathered here again in person. I was actually struck by a Facebook post from David Preston yesterday that was talking about the very first of these events right here in 1981. So the last couple of years hiatus that we had was the anomaly, and we've been here for a long time, and we appreciate that. I also wanted to thank our elected officials. I'm not going to name all of you all because otherwise I'll be stealing somebody else's thunder to come, but also we had told you originally that this was going to be a virtual event, and so we thank you for rearranging your schedules in order to be here with us in person, and thank you to all of you for being here today. So again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you to everybody for being here.
So you've heard from the now the president of the Jewish Federation of Delaware. Let's hear from the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Delaware, Seth Katzen, whose leadership has been impeccable.
Thanks, Rabbi. I have a short reading. Each of us has a name given by God and given by our parents. Each of us has a name given by our stature and our smile and given by what we wear. Each of us has a name given by the mountains and given by our walls. Each of us has a name given by the stars and given by our neighbors. Each of us has a name given by our sins and given by our longing. Each of us has a name given by our enemies and given by our love. Each of us has a name given by our celebrations and given by our work. Each of us has a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. Each of us has a name given by the sea and given by our death.
Is our colleague Rabbi Winokur here today? No. Well, we're thinking about him. Just sending goodwill to him. Our host for being here is none other than Mayor Mike Przicki. He's the mayor of Wilmington, and so we defer to him at this time, as is right for the host of an organization.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Rabbi, you should hear some of the names I'm called. Not on your list, I'll guarantee it. Not on your list. I am touched. I'm moved. I'm very happy to be here in love and brotherhood with so many good friends and a wonderful community that I feel a certain kinship with. Let me just say, you know, the world is a darker place today than ever any one of us would have imagined, right? It's just so sad. I grew up, I was born 2 weeks after World War II was over. And so I have this, I think I have a perspective that many don't have looking around here. Rabbi, how old are you? Most everybody's a whole lot younger. But, okay.
We have to be your brother.
You gotta come up here and tell them how you, where mayor came from, right? So, but it's you know, we grew up in a Cold War. We grew up in a world fraught with a sense of insecurity and danger, and a sense of, was it hatred? Whatever it was, it made us terribly uneasy. And we lived in a world where we didn't think about those things for so many generations, and now all of a sudden we're finding ourselves in a world where there are too many people feel resentment and hatred and anger and envy, and honestly, I don't know why. Because we have a wonderful country, we have so much to be thankful for, and all I can say is it's up to each and every one of us to just fight back, and not to fight back with hatred, but to fight back with love and disarm those who think somehow that that's normal. I have, it's funny, every community's got its problems, and we certainly have ours in Wilmington, but I pledge them to my staff and my supporters and those who are my colleagues that that Wilmington doesn't have problems. America's got problems, and we are going to be a better city than America. And I just strive for that, and if everybody does, I think we'll come out better on the other side. I love this community. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
So as we make our way up from city, we move to county. So we invite County Executive County Matt Meyer, my congregate, to come forward now for comments. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if that's moving up or moving down. Depends what direction you're going in. But it's really an honor to be here today. One thing you don't necessarily get in an online celebration is the feeling of so many people coming out on a February day in the middle of April. It really, jokes aside, it really says a lot about each and every one of you that you came out here. I have a great deal of personal gratitude on a day like today because of the likes of Arlene Davis and Joe Byer, Dorothy Finger and Ann Jaffe and the Preston family that taught me these lessons from the youngest age, not only of the Holocaust and of the 6 million lost, but of the importance of sticking your neck out when it needs to be stuck out, of the impact that it had of not just the hateful few, but the indifferent many on so many ultimately dying, and make sure that not only you're not standing idly by when there's injustice, but you're working to find those on the sidelines and bring them to the side of good and the side of love. As the mayor so articulately stated, the threats to justice and the threats to this free, beautiful world we live in are really greater now than they've been in a long, long time. So on this day, a day when Israelis literally stop in their tracks for 2 minutes, let us all pause and think about how we each can do more to fight injustice around the world in places like Ukraine and also here at home in Wilmington. Thank you.
Thank you. So as we keep percolating up, we come now to the level of our dear state of Delaware, and there's a lot of bridge building going on, because you'll see both Matt and you'll see Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall-Long not only here, but they'll be in shul on Shabbos as well. So I think it's really sweet that there's this bridge building going on. So Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall-Long's representing not only herself, but also the governor as well, and she's joined with Sandy Johnson, Director of Statewide Equity Initiatives, and they have a proclamation. And so can I defer to you two together?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Steal a hug. Thank you. Well, thank you. For those who don't know, I've had the privilege over the past 2 years of leading faith leaders calls, and I cannot thank enough all the rabbis who are present today, including our own Rabbi Beals, who actually leads the calls with me. And it was not only the pandemic, the global pain that we suffered through the pandemic, but all the other issues of equity and justice. And I am delighted that you took the will to come together on this chilly April day to look at the memorial. And it's ironic, as we were standing here, I don't know if you heard, but the Ukrainian flag earlier was flapping the loudest. And I thought, how ironic, we're standing here with the pain, and it's a gentle reminder. Those of you who've lost family members, and for each of you who lit a candle today, before I give the proclamation from the governor and I, sometimes those gentle breezes, those simple memories. I have been a nurse for 30-some years, and the pain's always there. And every day, you have a remembrance of your freedom and who fought and who stood for you, and to the rabbis and the others who heal us today. That pain needs to be recognized, but yielding that pain comes action and a call to uplift. And for myself, it's nothing more important than to be here today to let you know all of Delaware, our governor, myself, and others are here to uplift. And I would be remiss before I read our proclamation if I didn't call on my good friend, Representative Debbie Heffernan. I don't know how many of you know, but you've been such a champion in Dover for us. She, as well as a couple others, single-handedly make sure that all children in Delaware, all children, have learned about the Holocaust. I was leaving the Delaware Senate at that time, transitioning into my new position at that time, and it's important. So today is awareness, it's remembrance, it's love, and it's honor. And at this time, I'm joined by our incredible Director of Equity in Delaware, who also has been in our HR office, who has stamped out and worked vigorously against discrimination, racism, and really does respect the fact that Delaware needs to be a community free of hate and one that is loving and uplifting. So Sandy Johnson will come stand here with me. If you don't know Sandy, we can welcome her. She's shaking now. She didn't know she was going to have to get her winter coat out. So she's like, I'm shaking. So I will do the honor of reading this at this time. And I'm presenting this to you, sir. So come here. We actually get to touch through the screen today. I love that. We haven't had this opportunity.
I've never seen you 3D before. I had no idea you had legs in the back. It's exciting.
We are real. Okay, from the state of Delaware, the office of the governor, and this is succinct, I promise it's not long, and proclamation of observance of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. Holocaust Remembrance Day serves as an important reminder of the estimated 6 million Jewish lives lost during one of history's darkest chapters. And whereas we encourage Delawareans to honor the memories of the Holocaust victims, embrace the survivors and their families, and understand the realities of this catastrophe. And whereas we have a collective responsibility to combat all forms of hatred, reject those who deny the Holocaust, and educate new generations about the Holocaust and its impact. Whereas Delaware stands in solidarity with the Jewish people and all those affected by the atrocities of the Holocaust in Delaware, the United States, and around the world, in remembering, reflecting on the horrors of the Holocaust. Now, therefore, we, John Carney, Governor, and I, Bethany Holong, Lieutenant Governor, do hereby declare April 28, 2022, Yom HaShoah, am I saying that? Close?
Close enough.
Okay, Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Delaware, and encourage all Delawareans to honor and observe this day as we remember the victims and survivors of the Holocaust. Signed by Governor Carney and myself. So to you. And to the group. All right, got it. Thank you again. And our governor wishes he could be here. He was out of town this morning and wasn't able to be back here in time. Thank you.
Where would we be without good laws to keep people safe? We turn to Attorney General Kathy Jennings, who will speak now.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you. Comes from my heart. When I was a young child, I was raised by a single mom, redheaded, freckled, Irish Catholic Peggy. And one of my earliest memories of being raised by that amazing mom was that she took me everywhere. She didn't have a babysitter all the time, and so she brought me everywhere. She joined Hadassah when I was very little, and so she would take me to events that Hadassah would hold, including a lunch. And I sat next to a woman. I didn't know who that was, and to this day, I do not know her name. But what I remember was seeing numbers tattooed on her arm. And when we left, I asked my mom what that was. And she told me. And she introduced me to the horrors of the Holocaust. And she said, that woman is a survivor. I went home and my mom was reading a book about a monster named Adolf Eichmann. And I remember picking that book up and going through it and seeing some of those horrors. So those are memories I will never forget. To the children of survivors, to survivors, thank you for being here, and thank you for carrying those memories each and every day of your lives. So what do we do to make sure that those words of Elie Wiesel ring true every day and that we never forget? We must always replace hate with love, ignorance with education. Thank you, Representative Heffernan, for that. And violence with peace. It is so very hard when we see our country at a time when hate crimes are on the rise in a way that we haven't seen for a while. And so you have my commitment as the daughter of Peggy Rafal that I will fight each and every day to make those words come alive in our hearts, and that we will make sure that we eradicate hate, because it has no place in our state. It has no place in our country. And we will always remember, we will never forget what happened. Thank you.
As we move up the political totem pole, the other folks are in Washington, but they sent representatives at least to say hello. So let me make sure I acknowledge them properly at this time. So is Jason McCall here by any chance? So Jason is representing Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester, and we want to say hello and blessings to our representative.
He's going to wave around the...
Yeah, please wave at everybody, yes.
How you doing?
Okay, we're sending you love.
And he's always very well dressed.
Yeah.
He's usually the best dressed
We should
guy.
talk. We'll talk. Okay. I'm trying. All right. We want to send the Hebrew word is refuah shalema, complete recovery, to Bonnie Wu, who's representing Senator Tom Carper. She doesn't feel well and couldn't be with us, so she's on our list. You'll hear when you come to synagogue, Matt, and you'll hear Bethany, that we're going to say a special Misha Barak for Bonnie Wu. So you tell her. We believe that Andrew Dinsmore, are you here, Andrew? Andy, yeah. Come forward so we can see how handsome you are. He's representing Senator Chris Coons today, and we're so grateful that you're here. And please tell the senator we send regards as well. Okay. I don't think Joe is President Biden here? No. But you never know with him, so I thought it was. He has done. Not only that, but the fact that he appointed Professor Deborah Lipstadt to be the ambassador to combat anti-Semitism on a global stage. He's here. He's here by the decisions he's made. Are there any other officials who have not called up? Please, we want to respect you and say thank you. I tried to get everybody because we have an amazing Jewish Federation that keeps me prepped. All right, then, moving right along. I'd like to turn to my clergy friends, beginning with Rabbi Yair Robinson, Senior Rabbi of Congregation Beth Emet, for a reading.
Friends, we transition into a more meditative state of being as we move forward with our service. This reading is called After the Horror by Alden Sullivan. Hold fast to the breath of life. Hold fast to the song of life. Hold fast to the soul of life. This is my sacred duty, God of old. as survivor, as witness, as a voice of history and truth. Why else did I live when so many died? Why else do I stand when so many were put to rest? Why else do I hope and yearn when so many were silenced? Hold fast to awe and wonder. Hold fast to radiance and light. Hold fast to mystery and majesty. This is my sacred duty, God of old. As mourner, as testimony to horror and destruction, what else remains? What else endures? What more can you ask of me but to choose life in the shadow of death? Amen.
I don't have an established reading, but I want to give you a thought. Some of you might say, why are we doing Holocaust again? Didn't we have International Holocaust Day on January 27th as established by the United Nations? It marked something different. It marked a moment of great gratitude when the Allied powers went ahead and liberated Auschwitz death camp. And we are grateful. However, several decades before the United Nations got there, the State of Israel had very vigorous debate about when to mark the death of 6 million Jews, because it didn't happen only in one day. It happened over time. And the religious community said, well, it should be perhaps the 9th day of Av, perhaps when the temples were destroyed in Jerusalem. And the more secular leadership said, no, we need a moment of bravery when we weren't victims, but when we stood up. And so they chose the beginning of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which was not the only, but the most coordinated, the most sustained rebellion against Nazi tyranny, to say that Jews could and would stand up for themselves. They wanted to do it when it started, which was a Passover day, and there the rabbinic elite said, no, 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 you can't do that on Passover. It was, well, we want to do it the Hebrew month of Nisan, which is the month we're still in. And so they marked that day of great bravery, and Jewish people stood up. And that's really the ethos behind the State of Israel. It's a place where Jewish people can defend themselves by themselves without having to rely on the goodness, which is very fickle, of other countries and other nations in a particular moment. I'm irked by the fact that the United Nations didn't defer to the State of Israel's establishment. They needed a time where Jewish people would be grateful to others. I'd like to try to balance that we could both be courageous and grateful today. And in doing so, I'd like to turn to our colleague, Cantor Yeshua Redfern, who will remember all those who fought and all those who perished in the Shoah and the Holocaust with the El Male Rachamim. And I'd like to invite his partner on the beam, Rabbi Stephen Sachs, both representing Adas Kodesh Emet, the oldest continuing serving synagogue in the state of Delaware, to them to provide the English translation. I give you Cantor Redfern and Rabbi Sachs. Please, Brian.
El Mole Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamatzem Menuchonechono Kanefei Hashchina Ve'malos Kiroshim Otorim Kezohar Rakim Asirim Et Kol Neshama Sheshet Milyonei Hayudim Chalalei HaShoah Ve'Rabbah Shenergu שנשחטו, שנשרפו, שנזמו, הקידוש השם. בידיהם הרוצחים, הגרמנים, הנאצים, ועוזריהם משאר העמים. לכן ברחמים יסירם בצדק כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרה החיים נשמתם, אדוני הוא נחלתם. בגן ויעמדו לגורלם מקץ היומין ונאמר אמן.
Merciful God who dwells above, provide a sure rest upon the divine presence wings among the holy and the pure, whose shining resembles the skies, all the souls of the 6 million Jews, the victims of the European Holocaust, who were murdered, slaughtered, burnt, and exterminated for the sanctification of thy name by the German Nazi murderers and their helpers from the rest of the peoples. Therefore, Master of Mercy, will you protect them forever from behind the cover of your wings, and may their souls be bound up in the bond of eternal life. The everlasting is their heritage, the Garden of Eden shall be their resting place, and they shall rest peacefully upon their lying place. They will stand with their fate at the end of days under the cover of your wings, and let us say, Amen.
Don't go too far away, gentlemen. We have a unique version of the mourner's cottage. I'd like to invite all the clergy to come very close to me on both sides. We're all on the same side, actually. And this is in Aramaic, which was the English of 2,000 years ago. Everybody understood it. And it talks about praising God, even though we tend to do it at the end of a service when we remember people who passed away. This is a unique mourner's kaddish because interspersed between each word of Aramaic, we have another one of the death camps. And so what I thought, if it's okay with you, for those of you that know the kaddish, if you could say each word, I'll help you. And then I'm going to turn to my clergy friends to go ahead and give the corresponding name of another death camp where Jewish people lost their lives. And when we hear Babi Yar, that might reconnect us to Ukraine, where 1.5 million of our Jewish people lost their lives, making that such a tragic place both then and now. We're going to be a team with this then, yeah? Yit Kadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divrach Hirute, V'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon Uvyomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uvizman Karib, V'imeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah V'rach Le'lam Umei Amaya Yit Barak V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Haleh V'yit Halal Shemei Dekudesha Barichu Le'elah Min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma, Ve'imeru Amen. Together. Yehi Shlamar Rabbah Min Shamaya. V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imeru Amen. O say Shalom B'romav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imeru Amen. Zichronam Levracha. May their memories be for our memory. We turn to Rabbi Douglas Krantz.
In the dark shadow of the Shoah, we struggled to choose life, and so I brought with me some life-affirming words attributed to Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who was, I believe, born in Ukraine, as were my grandparents. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a wondrous peace will embrace the world, when nation will not threaten nation, when humankind will not experience war, for all who inhabit this world shall realize that we have not come into being to argue, to hate, or to be violent, for we have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love. Compassionate God, bless us with the power of compassion. Fulfill the promise conveyed in Scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you. I will rid the land of vicious beasts, and it shall not be ravaged by war. Let love and justice flow like a mighty stream. Let peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. Amen.
Amen. We turn to our friend and colleague, Rabbi Jacob Lieberman of Temple Beth El in Newark for a closing benediction.
Holy One of blessing, strengthen the hands and hearts of those who fight anti-Semitism. Holy One of blessing, strengthen the hands of hearts of those who fight racism and prejudice in all its forms. Holy One of blessing, bless the memories of those who perished in the Holocaust and did not live to tell their stories. Holy One of blessing, bless the memories of those who did live to tell and whose experiences we recall with love and with grief. Holy One of blessing, look after the children, the grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of survivors who carried the experiences of their forebears and whose DNA carries the memory of our people's trauma. Holy One of blessing, bring compassion and open-mindedness to a world that so often closes its eyes to the pain of minorities, including our Jewish people. Holy One of blessing, bring softness and a desire for connection to those who would still do us harm. Holy One of blessing, bring wisdom, discernment, and courage to our leaders in all their posts, to see and to recognize the growing anti-Semitism in our world, and to have the conviction to act for the good of us and the good of all. Holy One of blessing, increase the learning and education of our young, that they may grow up with the same tolerance and commitment to religious freedom which we were privileged to enjoy. Holy One of blessing, look after the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the righteous Gentiles who supported our people in the midst of our fall. Holy One of blessing, demonstrate your compassion and care for our people and all people who suffer persecution in this world. Holy One of blessing, eliminate anti-Semitism and hate in all its forms and replace it with holy peace. Holy One of blessing, may we always remember and may we never forget. Amen.
close with a beautiful song by Rabbi Micah Becker-Klein, who's a spiritual leader of the community Chavara. I understand, Gina, where are you, Gina? Are you still here, Gina? Yes. Does she have the stones? Okay, so there'll be stones available for you. Normally when we visit a cemetery, we put a stone there, in part because one of the names of God is the rock, right? Sur, as a Ma'at Sur from Hanukkah, right? Rock of Ages, Rock of Ages. So the other reason why we put a stone there is to let other people know that the place is visited. So when you go, you know you're not alone and you're connected. So there are stones that are being distributed now. And as that happens, let's turn now to Rabbi Micah Becker-Klein for music to see us out.
Thank you, Rabbi Beals. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I'm the grandchild of two survivors. My grandfather, blessed memory, would say, it wasn't one miracle, it was a miracle every moment. And it was because of the kindness of so many people that we don't know that they were able to survive and I was able to make it into this world. So I want to thank you and thank everyone who's been here today for your energy and your courage to be present at a time in this world where it's hard, it's challenging to stand with others, but we need to stand together, especially now, especially at times like this. This is a piece that's going to have some Yiddish, some Hebrew, and some English, and even some Jewish scat music, and we can all join in together and lift up our spirits. And I know it's cold out there, right? But I was saying to somebody earlier, I was able to visit Auschwitz back in 1991, and I'm there in a down parka and wool socks, and I've never been so cold in my entire life, and I thought people survived this. And so if we're a little uncomfortable now, I have to say, between what's going on in the world in Ukraine, what might have been going on during the Holocaust, for this moment, let's build a world of love, build a world of justice, and our moments of discomfort will be in our cars, we'll be in safe, warm spaces soon enough. This is the way that we remember, honor, and live in the moment. Wollt ich gehad koyech, wollt ich gelieven in de Gachen, wollt ich geschriegen Sholem, 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 lo haya li koach, hayiti ratz birchov, hayiti tzoek shalom, 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 shalom. You know that word. If I had the strength, I'd run in the streets. I would run in the street. I'd cry for peace. I would cry for peace, 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 peace. Let's sing it again. If I had the strength, I would run in the streets. I would run in the streets. I would cry for peace. I would cry for peace, 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 peace. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. If I had the strength, I'd run in the streets. I would run in the streets. I'd cry for peace. I would cry for peace. Peace, peace, peace. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. One more time. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Becker Klein. This officially concludes our service this morning and this afternoon. May God protect all of us. And may the next time we come together, it should be for a happy occasion. Please feel free to schmooze, to socialize with one another. May God bless you. For those just celebrating Shabbat, soon Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, check off, Michael.
Come here. Beautiful.
Oh, you're beautiful.
I'm sure you want to
Oh, you did such a...
Oh, teach the kinder lachen.